Yeah, dude was just
I saw that
full
clip.
on, just like thrashing around on a craps
I
table.
saw that yesterday.
I was at work. I dropped it in the toilet.
Yeah.
And it was not, shall we say, a clean toilet.
Yeah.
But I still,
God.
there's a lot of crack jokes that I can make that I'm just holding myself back. I'm restraining. Like when I remember one of the genres, and it was acid jazz.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I listened to acid jazz. Like, all right, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, jet lag sucks. But I can't say that really because I just haven't been making an effort to fix it at all.
You never come back from somewhere with. You're always able to adapt when you go somewhere when you're traveling.
Are you talking about me specifically? Oh,
Yeah, you adapt, but then
Yeah.
you don't spring back. You stay jet lagged for months.
right. Well, I was already on jet lag sleep schedule long before the Asia trip.
Okay, so actually, yeah, when you went to Asia, your sleep schedule was like magically like I'm waking up in the morning now, and it's normal.
Yeah, there was zero acclimation phase, which was really cool. But I think coming back, even though I'm technically still on the same sleep schedule that I was pre-Asia, I think it's hitting me extra hard because the weekends have been busier. So it's like Monday through Friday. I mean, I work from home. I'm self-employed, so it doesn't really matter when I work. But but the weekends, everyone in my life, friends and family, they're all on normal hour time. So
yeah, and you're entertaining or hanging out or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, like everything during the day is just such a. It's a grind. It's a grind to stay awake. I'm just like pounding energy drinks, which is not good. I can't keep drinking.
I'm not naturally a morning person, but I will say when I get my shit together and I'm waking up regularly in the morning,
right,
and it's not feeling forced, it's because I've had enough sleep and that's when my body naturally decided to wake up. It usually means I'm going to bed at like 9 or 10, which is bizarre to me, but but it does feel nice to actually wake up in the morning and be like, I have the whole like almost all of daylight today.
That's right. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. And then like it seems like an eternity just to get to like noon,
Yes.
before you have lunch.
Yes.
It's just like you've already had like a full day where it's like, normally when I'm not jet lagged, I'll wake up at like 10, 11, and then it's like you get out of bed, you do your routine, and before you know it, it's like 1 p.m. somehow, 2 p.m. And you're just like, what? Evening's coming up already. I just barely started the day.
That's how my day starts. Yeah,
it's crazy. Well, you're kind of on a later day shift.
Yeah.
So it kind of works out for you.
My schedule just is naturally tending towards night owlishness.
Yeah, that's kind of nice. Do you think it was like super unnatural for us to like way back in the day to go to bed late because it was like we didn't have electricity? So it's just like whenever it get dark, it was just like you got a torch, I guess. But
well, yeah, the human diurnal cycle is absolutely based off of light, as is most any creature that's got melatonin in it. So it actually is. It reminds me of this very interesting phenomenon. I was reading about, which is that the natural human sleep cycle used to be, and maybe still is, but is kind of like trained out or suppressed, according to what I read, to sleep for about 4 hours when the sun goes down. Like you go to bed about the time the sun goes down, and then your body just naturally tends to wake up for like an hour or two in the middle of the night, and you might get up and
take a piss.
Do that, or do a little bit of sewing, fix some holes in your socks.
Yeah, I see what you're doing. Wow, you still managed to throw shade in the middle of this education.
I was actually going to say darning your socks, and I realized you may not recognize darning. So
I would not.
Or go talk to a friend, do a little bit of socializing.
Yeah,
and then go back to sleep until around sunrise.
Right.
And I thought that was really interesting, and that
this is like normal. That this was normal, or
So back before electrical lighting, and maybe even before gas lighting.
Right.
I don't remember the period of time when it was like documented, but it is apparently a documented, phenomenon of humans, sleep cycle to naturally tend to be broken up into two parts overnight.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting.
That kind of makes sense because that would explain why, like, no matter what I do, I have to pee in the middle of the night. It's like, why is my body designed that way? Why can't I get a full straight 8 hours of sleep? Why do I always wake up in the middle of the night to take a piss? I know it's not everyone, but that would explain it for me. Because even if I haven't drank water like for hours before I go to bed, I still have to go like 2 a.m.
I'm telling you, man, you got to get your prostate checked.
Yeah, we're at that age now, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
We gotta do the checks, do the routine maintenance, catch it before it catches you.
Exactly.
Oof. God, how's your health doing?
Yeah.
Apart from being a little under the weather right now.
I'm kind of achy. My ribs are a bit achy because I fell and I didn't appreciate that.
That's right. Yeah, that was at least you weren't having a heart attack that one day. You're like I feel like deep pains in my chest. I'm like, do you need an ambulance? It's like, no, you just drank. You just got drunk the night before and landed on something, like ran into something or fell.
Yeah,
and got a gnarly just mark up on your back.
Yeah,
and somehow that affected your ribs.
It did. It did affect them. Definitely. I should go to the doctor and have it checked out. I should get a physical.
Yeah.
As should you.
Yeah, you're like it's like hot chick energy. I feel like hot chicks always have like bruises, like just mysterious bruises on their legs.
Well, I must be a hot chick because I always have mysterious bruises on my legs.
We've seen the face filters. We know how it goes.
I often have bruises from just bumping into things.
Yeah,
especially on like my hips or my sides or legs.
Right. I'm more of a foot guy. I'm more like I'll like stub my toe or like knock my ankle against like the bed frame and stuff like that, or my shins.
Stubbing your toe in the middle of the night.
It's like
is the worst.
It's like the worst way to wake up. Like it does kind of jolt you awake a little bit. But
the worst way to wake up,
not in a great way,
that I know of in my personal experience, is by vomiting a little bit of spicy bean dip up into your sinuses.
Oh no! What? Jesus, that's terrible.
Have you ever had a malfunction where you think you're burping, but it's actually just a little bit of a regurgitation?
Yeah.
Apparently,
all the time.
Apparently, like it's a bug with your esophagus and
right.
Your gastrointestinal system. So I was on a road trip and I had eaten a bunch of Fritos and spicy bean dip.
Oh God, what a terrible combo to have revisit you.
That's literally what woke me up, is having that go up into my sinuses, along with some stomach acid.
Oh my gosh,
that's the worst way I've ever woken up.
I'm pretty sure that's probably what should happen. That's your body just saying like you're poisoning yourself with this stuff.
No, like you should not.
Fritos and bean dip.
If you're buying things,
combo, dude.
If you're buying things from the section of the grocery store that's specifically like Fritos and Cheetos, Tostitos, like that whole thing with
all the dips and stuff, dude. That was just your body saved your life that morning.
Well,
if you had kept it, you would not be with us.
Basically it wasn't ejecting anything like really substantial. It was just like, hey,
just a little bit.
I object to this.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Your body finally said no.
Yes.
It's like, I won't stand.
I didn't go on to treat it any better, but hey, c'est la vie.
God. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. God bless caffeine, dude. Caffeine is like the way that, like, when my body's like, you're tired, we should call it a night.
Mm-hmm.
I can resist with caffeine. I can be like, no, shut up.
Yeah, that's what caffeine does to your brain. The part of your brain that is telling you that you feel sleepy, is caffeine is blocking part of that whole system.
I like that, but you can. It's crazy because I've been so jet lagged on the weekends. I have been surviving off of caffeine. And you can easily tell when you're fake awake. I call it fake awake because you're just running on fumes and with the help of caffeine. And it's a different kind of you are awake, but you can tell it's
you're kind of zombie mode.
Yeah, you're still kind of zombie mode, even though you're sort of hyper focused and alert at the same time. You just feel spacey, you're empty inside.
Well, lack of sleep has real cognitive effects, and not positive ones.
Yeah, and what sucks for me is for the record, we should address that this is the first time I think you and I have ever done this podcast during the day.
It is,
which is why you could see sunlight coming out
of
the window.
Part of this is to prove that we're not vampires.
Yeah, right. Although I feel like a vampire right now. I see the sun, I'm like, because I've been up since yesterday. I was up all night editing and stuff, and I was just about to take a nap. I was about to crash actually, and then you woke up, and I was like, all right, let's do the pod really quick before you have to go to work. So sorry, my energy levels are a little low for this episode. You're actually going to be more upbeat than I am, just because you're waking up, I'm going down. But what I was saying is caffeine sucks for me because even with a little bit, I can't fall asleep. So, but in moments like this where I need to sleep, I'm super tired. My body won't let me sleep if there's a little bit of caffeine in my system. So I just end up being in this middle weird purgatory.
You end up in the limbo, uncomfortable limbo.
Yeah. So I do have some sleeping pill, some CBN pills, which kind of help that. So
you may want to just try to stay in limbo until see if you can gut it out till 8 o'clock.
8 p.m. tonight.
Yeah.
Woo! Yeah, I could probably get there because also once you get past a certain hump, your brain at least my brain just kind of goes, all right, then we're up.
Yeah.
That
happens.
You get past that point and you're like, all right, I'm
exhausted, but I don't feel as much sleepiness. I just feel fatigue.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I can power through it, especially with cheers on the G Fuel.
Yeah. I keep breathing into the mic. It's maddening.
Is that just little? You don't usually breathe too heavily in the mic. Is it
That's my nose.
Nose? A little stuffy?
My nose is just directing air directly into the mic, and I can hear it. It's like, ugh.
A little stuffaluffagus over there.
I blame the cats.
We got a little conehead on our hands here. I don't know what she's doing.
She is...
Okay.
She's engaging...
I'm going to move your
lap
from
maneuvers.
Your fat butt so it doesn't knock it over. So we have a cat here. She's been coned, as you can see, because she keeps biting herself. She's got issues. Anxiety. Anxiety is a hell drug. All right. And then we're also choosing to we're just going to walk through the set. That's good.
Yep. Normal kitty behavior.
Cool.
So I had a slight incident with my phone.
Oh?
You had a major incident with your phone.
Yeah. You can go first.
Oh, mine is pretty boring. I chipped my screen protector.
Oh, well, at least it was just the protector. Looks like.
Yeah, no, nice. And it's super manageable. It's just this tiny little chip on the corner.
How did you do that one? Because it's sort of recessed behind the case, so you didn't drop it.
It's not very recessed. It's
barely,
maybe even a millimeter, if that.
Did you drop onto something?
I just dropped it on the floor, and it might have bounced up and hit something.
Yeah.
But that's the exact same place that my last phone actually broke the screen.
Yeah.
Through the screen protector. And so I'm actually very happy that Samsung is finally going away from the stupid curved edges aesthetic.
Yeah.
Because that made it so that the cases couldn't protect the edges.
Yep.
And it
was a stupid feature anyway.
It was
just didn't work. It just didn't work well.
And they just clung on to it for so long.
Yeah.
And they actually advertised that this was a completely flat screen.
Yeah.
It's true. It's not truly flat. It still has the tiny, vestigial curve on the sides.
Yeah, that's true.
And I saw that and I was like, you guys really are addicted to stupid aesthetics and design in this one particular area. But you had a much more adventurous fun thing.
Yeah, I'll share that with the class. So I was telling you earlier, over the weekend, Mel and I we went out on Friday night to a bar, and We were just having like some drinks casually at her place, and we weren't really planning to go out. But you get a few drinks in you, and you're like, she was like,
get adventurous.
She's like, you want to go out somewhere? I was like, yeah, we'll just hit a bar, then just come home. And then we go to this some random bar by her in her area that we've never been to before. There's a pool table. We start playing pool, and having more drinks. I'm like ordering shots for us, and then at this point we strike up conversation with some guy that's there, who isn't drinking. He's like not drinking at all. He's just there to play pool or whatever. So he's a cool guy. And then next thing you know, like Mel and I are pretty trash at this point. We go to we hop in this guy's car. He takes us to a restaurant that's like 24/7. It's open 24/7. It's like 3 a.m. We eat, we're hanging out, and then by 4 a.m. 4:30 a.m. we're back home. I wake up the next morning and I'm like, crap, I don't have my phone. I think I might have left it in that guy's car. Didn't have his information, didn't even know his name, nothing. And fortunately, I was able to look on GPS to see that my phone was located somewhere in K-Town. So Mel and I drive to the exact coordinate, the exact pin where it's dropped, and we're walking down the street looking for this guy's car. We don't even really know. We're like, I think it was a Toyota. It might have been gray. Turns out it was a Toyota, but it was like a bluish gray. And we're like, all right, I think that might be it. I'm like looking in the windows. We look super sketchy. People are walking their dogs like...
Because you're just like two randos just looking in car windows?
Yeah. I was glad that Mel was there. If it was just me, like just in my hoodie alone, a single guy, like it would have been way sketchier, but...
Yeah, you would have gotten
so that helped.
Trouble.
But, I'm like... I don't see the phone in his car. So I start knocking on all the doors of like people like who live on the street next to the car. I'm like, do you know whose car that is? Everyone's like, no, I have no idea. And it's like... it's in K-Town. There's like a lot of apartment buildings that have like units in them. So I'm just like, this isn't going to work. So we go to my place. We come here so I can check my email because I have my email displayed on my lock phone or on my lock screen.
But that's the same email account that is attached to your phone?
It's one of them. Well, I have a bunch of, no, it's a different one.
Okay, good.
It's a different one. So I was like, please God, I hope that he, if he has the phone, that he emailed me, and sure enough, he did. So it worked out. I got in contact with him through that, and then we met up. We went back to where his car was, where we looked the first time, and he was there. He's like, "Here you go." I was like, "Thank you, dude."
That's funny. I have the same thing. I have an email address on my lock screen.
Yeah. I'm so glad I put it there. Like, I think everyone should have some sort of contact information on your lock screen.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like, you're done. You're pretty screwed.
Especially with a lost phone. You're like, if on the off chance that somebody is actually going to try to get this back to me, they need to have some clue.
Right. Exactly.
Because if they don't, if there's no clue for them, then they're just like, well, I can maybe just try to hang out where somebody lost it and try to see if anybody is.
It's so slim. Your chances just drop significantly.
Yeah.
So I got really I was really fortunate that I got my phone back.
Indeed.
It's like a relatively new phone. It's got some pictures on there that aren't backed up to the cloud, and I'm just I was freaking out, dude. There's nothing worse than losing your phone. There really isn't.
So just make like a calendar thing that's monthly.
Yeah.
That says
back up all your stuff.
You just plug your phone into your PC and you copy paste your DCIM folder.
Yeah.
Onto your.
I know how to do it. I mean, I shot all my event coverage on my phone. It was just like dumping it.
I'm just shouting it out there for.
Girl, are you kidding me, dude? Bro, what is going on? What a spaz.
Oh yeah, extra spaz points.
All right. She's cute,
but yeah, back your stuff up.
That's a good PSA.
I actually have phone picture and video backups dating back to 2012.
Nice.
So I have each year I have a zip or a RAR archive.
Yeah.
Of all the videos and all the photos from that year separated and archived.
Yeah.
And there's a gap where some asshole pushed me into a pool. And at the time, phones were not waterproof, so that phone got ruined. I could never get the data off of it.
Yeah, that sucks.
But nowadays, phones are pretty waterproof. So
they are.
Except for ocean water and pool water.
Right.
So if you have a nice phone and it says it's IP68X,
yeah, something like that.
That's for like clean water. So
right.
So the rating does not necessarily mean that it will stand up to pool water or seawater,
right?
Without damage in the long term or even short term.
So if it drops in the toilet or something, you're safe.
Yes, and that actually, ironically, is what happened to one of my first phones.
Yeah,
that had an actual screen. I remember this. It was an LG Lotus. And you can look that up.
Oh my God, it sounds so old.
Oh, it was.
I think I remember that one. Yeah.
It was a clamshell, and it was like perfectly square when it was closed.
Yeah.
This is actually the phone that I told you that story about, where I was late to work my first time for work because I left it open.
Right.
But an LG Lotus, it was actually a great phone for its time.
I kind of wish I had kept all my old phones.
I actually still have it. It's in a drawer somewhere.
Nice.
There are many generations of phones in the middle that I did not keep.
Yeah.
But that one, I was just like, for some reason, I kept it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I did at one point. I was at work. I dropped it in the toilet.
Yeah.
And it was not, shall we say, a clean toilet.
Yeah.
But I still immediately grabbed it out and dried it off, and it still worked.
Was it one or two'd?
It was two'd.
It
wasn't a messy one. It was just like, it was present, you know?
Yeah, it was there.
There was a lot of bacteria on that phone.
Yeah,
I had to like make sure it was dried off and then try to sanitize it.
Oh, brutal.
Still worked.
That's cool.
It never failed.
Man, like phones you don't really think about it much, but like the phone, like your old phones are so nostalgic. Like just thinking about some of the older phones I had, they all kind of represent like an era, you know, or like a chapter of your life.
Yeah, it's like you turn on that phone, you look at your texts or your photos, and you're like, this brings me back. It's like a wave of nostalgia.
I remember I had this is before, just pre or right around the time smartphones were becoming a thing. It was probably like 2006 or something like that. It was I had an LG Chocolate, so this was not a smartphone. It just basically looked like one of those Nokia phones, but it like slid upward, you know, and you could like text or whatever. But I remember it was sick because it had a micro SD card slot in it, and you could play music. You could play music on it.
Nice.
And so I remember like hanging out with like Aaron and Navarro, and then we'd be like chilling at Navarro's place, and I would just like pull out my phone and play like some tunes on it
on the actual phone speaker.
On the phone speaker.
Oh man!
And just like put it on the table, and we were just like hanging out, having drinks and stuff. I felt like I was like I'm like a DJ right now. It was good times, but it's just like the shittiest little phone.
Yeah. I mean, I see every now and then people posting like a picture that's like a timeline of their phones.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you know, it starts small.
Yeah.
And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
I know, it's enormous. Do you think it's ever going to like, do you think it's going to stop at some point?
It's going to have to peak at some point. Otherwise, we're just going to be carrying around tablets like strapped to our arms or something.
Yeah. Which sometimes like some people do that. Like I've seen like videos of like people in South Korea just with tablets for phones, like literal like 10-inch, 7 to 10-inch tablets they just walk around with all the time.
Or somebody's going to have to make the whole Apple Vision Pro thing fit into actual glasses, like be a compact form factor, and then that'll just be the standard.
Exactly. I think that's probably where we're headed at some point,
because obviously like the market will accept and embrace larger and larger displays, so people want, you know, to see bigger, see like more vision, more screen space. And the Apple Vision Pro thing is supposed to be like a virtual 200-inch TV size screen. That's actually pretty cool. The downside is you look like, you know, a person wearing an Apple device on their head.
You look like a tool.
Which I personally, I mean, if you want to do that and you're happy, then good for you. I don't want to look that way.
It just attracts too much unwanted attention.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know, eventually that tech is going to get shrunk down to like your glasses, and everyone's going to have it.
Just walking around gesturing like you know, swiping, typing, very Minority Report,
which is weird. But when everyone's doing it, it won't be. You know,
Yes.
so we'll get there.
I wonder if that what that will do to the Italian talking with your hands thing. Like if you can't speak without moving your arms around and you're trying to multitask,
interesting.
Then your arm gestures are going to interfere with your swiping and typing and everything.
Right. The Italian version will come with a straitjacket.
I am looking forward to that, but I'm also kind of not, because it's just it seems like the integration of technology into our everyday life and experience, and screen time essentially is being promoted. It's becoming inevitably more and more easier and easier.
Right.
If I put on my glasses and there will come a day when I put on my glasses and I have to wait 5 seconds to watch an advertisement before I can see.
Before you can see. Yeah, dude, seriously.
And
vision will be monetized.
That will be the day that I'm just like, okay, time to go full Luddite.
Yeah. We've gone too far. I mean, it's just we're continually blurring the line between the real world and the digital world.
Yes.
And they're just merging at a crazy fast rate, because I mean that's what all the companies want, right? They want to put you in front of their app. They want your time, they want your attention, so they can feed you more ads.
Yeah.
So it's
which I have a very I don't really know what it's like to be constantly bombarded with ads, because I have gone through a lot of effort to completely remove ads from my experience.
Yeah.
So the only time that I really get hammered with ads and I realize how annoying and pervasive they are is just watching broadcast TV.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's the worst.
And it's like, okay, 50% of the time, the screen is showing advertisements.
Yeah.
And it's infuriating, especially when they just keep repeating.
Right.
Like the same Red Lobster advertisement. Actually, no, that was some streaming platform a while back. And I would watch 2 episodes of a show, right? And there would be 6 ad breaks, and it would be the exact same Red Lobster commercial on each ad break. And I was like, guys, your algorithm is completely effed.
And it's just so inefficient. It takes you 30 minutes to watch a 15-minute show.
And efficiency is the name of the game. I have a non-official YouTube app, and I will take videos regularly up to 1.5 to 1.25 to even 1.5 speed.
Yeah.
And it actually has, if it's interesting because it also has to do with sound normalizing, because across different videos, what the volume is normalized to, it has a variable.
Yeah.
But it also the app has an option to skip silence. So for example, if I was to watch this podcast, it might be an hour length video.
Yeah.
But if I'm watching it at 1.25 speed and skipping silences, it might compress it down to 40 minutes or 35 minutes.
That's pretty cool.
It's a weird way to consume media. I don't think that the average person would be happy or comfortable doing that.
Yeah,
but I like to.
For someone who's just trying to maximize their time, I think that's super helpful. I think it's obviously going to work better for certain content than others.
Yes.
It's not going to work for like TV shows or movies because you need that dramatic pause. You need those beats in there.
Absolutely.
Like a stand-up special or something like that. Zero comedic timing. It's just a staccato.
It actually is most relevant to, I think, podcasts and other content that either is just spoken or has music, so that there's never really silence.
Yeah, true.
But that's an option I can toggle.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I want to get into audiobooks more, or just at all. Because if I'm not reading, at least I could be listening.
Yeah.
At least start there. because I do have, I wouldn't say I have a lot of free time, but I definitely have a lot of moments during my day where I don't have any, like, there's no audio. There's no, like, my ears aren't doing anything.
It used to be that I would be listening to music by default, just always.
Right.
It seems like for a lot of people, your active interest in listening to music kind of decreases with age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I on that topic, I was just reading about how your musical tastes kind of solidify. They kind of develop and solidify around age like 14, like 13, 14.
Interesting.
So that's the, kind of the foundational reason why every generation is like, back in the day was the best music.
Of course, yeah.
Because their perception was it was the best music.
Right.
Like their musical tastes were shaped and formed in that time era.
Yeah.
So unless they were the weird kid who was listening to swing or something, they probably got contemporary music just like top in their mind.
And like when you're a teenager, I mean, that's generally when most people start getting into music.
Yeah.
And start really like discovering music, just as a whole.
Yeah.
Which, it's like at that point, it's like a brand new experience. It's like you're hearing all like these genres and these artists for the very first time. Everything else beyond that is just kind of like, try to chase that initial feeling of like that first time you heard that song, the first time you listened to this album. It's hard you can't compete with that.
I formed a lot of my musical tastes during the MP3.com era.
Okay.
So MP3.com used to be a website where tons and tons of, individual artists would just put their, make music and just put it up on MP3.com.
Yeah.
It was sort of, I guess, like SoundCloud.
Yeah.
And I don't remember exactly what happened, but I think there were a lot of people putting copyrighted content on there as well.
Okay.
Or either that, or eventually it wasn't profitable, and whoever was maintaining the site kind of gave up on it. I don't remember exactly what happened.
Yeah.
But eventually, MP3.com just went on. It just died. It went offline.
Right.
And I don't think it was really advertised. Like nobody really saw it coming. So all of a sudden, all these people's content was just not. It was gone.
Yeah.
Like there was no YouTube back then.
Right.
And I actually found a playlist on YouTube that was like super nostalgic for me because it was like, I don't know, 40 or so songs from MP3.com.
Yeah.
And a few of them I actually recognized, and I was just like, I remember this vibe, this like this kind of tone and style from those days. It was very distinctive.
That's pretty cool to find that. It's kind of like because you probably couldn't find it anywhere else.
No, and it's actually in saved Reddit posts, so I'd have to go and scroll through.
Yeah,
which I recommend if you use Reddit and you save posts. Like take a minute to go through your saved posts. You saved them for a reason.
Yeah,
there's some good stuff in there.
Right. That you probably completely forgot.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's in there somewhere. I just have to go find it.
Nice.
But yeah, MP3.com introduced me to an artist called Basic, which is spelled with 2 S's.
Okay.
And
house techno, or what is it?
It was electronica.
Okay.
It was like sort of like if Ari was a lot more like not so much vocals and everything was like super dreamy.
Okay, yeah. He does make some dreamy shit sometimes.
He does.
Yeah.
That's why I used him as a comparison because it was all like more like keyboard based.
Yeah.
And synth and electronica.
That's pretty cool.
And that was like the most influential or like memorable artist that I found on MP3.com, who also went on to still, continue making music and actually selling music.
Right.
There was tons of other ones that I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But that one you can still find on Spotify.
That's pretty cool. I'm sure that's super rare that like any of those artists that were on MP3.com actually went on to like, make music into a career, because it was just it had to have been a lot harder back then, I would think, without streaming platforms like and just social media.
I
to
mean,
promote
at
your
least
work.
I can say for him, he wasn't just making music as a career. He worked for a company that did like pro grade speakers.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But I don't know if it was for money or if it was just because he knew like there were people out there who wanted to hear it. He
Yeah.
put his discography out and like sold it, and then also once Spotify arrived, it's now on Spotify. Like,
Nice.
The period of time between mp3.com and Spotify being a thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, 15, 20 years or something.
I was going to say, I wonder how old he was when he first uploaded to mp3.com and how much older he is now.
He I don't know. He's probably, I don't know, 40s or 50s now, cuz he had a few songs where he had a really young daughter, and he would sample like a few of her like saying things.
Oh, gotcha.
That were just like really cute, or just just kind of fit the vibe of the song.
Yeah.
And that was like one of his kind of stylistic things, was he would sample things.
Yeah.
Sample people.
Nice.
And put them in songs. Like he had one song that was sampled from the movie Contact.
Okay.
And it's like, it was super subtle, but it was like, once I finally heard it and I got it, I was like, oh, that fits so well.
Yeah, that's cool.
He also did a song called Calling Apple, which was just him calling Apple. And they're like, what's that beeping sound? And the call's being recorded. I'm sorry, I can't be recorded. Thanks for calling Apple. Bye. And that was like the sample that he used in the song.
That's pretty awesome.
It's not that exciting, but for whatever reason, aesthetically it worked, I thought.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to musical tastes.
Yeah.
That's when I formed my musical taste, and that was like one of the most memorable kind of aspects of how my musical taste formed.
That's pretty cool, actually, because I feel like, I think the average person just goes the route of what's playing on the radio, or what are other people listening to.
Yeah.
And you were getting just such a unique variety of stuff just from mp3.com, really, that was probably leading to other things on the web.
A variety. So I still have, I like to think, fairly diverse musical tastes, although in reality it's probably fairly limited given the immense amount of music there is this day.
Endless.
These days. So I tend toward, if I'm being objective, probably a relatively small slice.
Sure.
But
maybe more eclectic than the average person.
I'm so willing to listen to most stuff.
Yeah.
I really have a hard time listening to country music.
Yeah. No, if it wasn't for the recent trip to Nashville, I probably would never listen to country. It's still not my favorite by far, but I've grown a slight appreciation for it. And there are some songs that there's some catchy stuff out there. There's some catchy stuff. It's sort of, I have to be in a certain mood for it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I can see that.
Drinking lots of bourbon, maybe. And like being alone, and just late at night. That's probably when I can listen to country.
I think part of the problem is that there's a huge amount of music that gets kind of just lumped into country.
Yeah.
And it might be truly not, it's not, you shouldn't call it country. You might call, this is bluegrass or whatever. But I've just had too much exposure to like actual like pop country music.
Yeah. Pop country is different.
And even not so much pop, but it just never really feels like it's my vibe. Like, right. I don't find, I actually find the way that specifically the way they play guitar, I find that to be it just, to my ear, is unpleasant.
Yeah.
The way the tone of country music guitar playing is just like, I don't like that. It's discordant to me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a lot more, there's been sort of an explosion recently of just new country artists that have been blowing up, and there's sort of like this modern wave of country music that sounds, it's a bit more palatable than just like the old kind of more southern twang that from the last generation stuff that is just like, okay, and maybe that's considered, some of that's pop country or whatever, but I guess what I'm saying is the less country a country song sounds, the more I like it, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's just like an endless sea of stuff to listen to. The other day I was like, oh, I told like Google in my car to play electro swing, and I was like, what the hell's that? I was like, oh yeah, it's a genre.
Paradise Circus.
Yeah, right. Yeah, stuff like that. It's just like, I don't know. There's just like so many like fusion. It's like there's so many fusions of genres too that create completely new ones that you can't listen to them all.
There are so many musical genres, and it's actually really interesting because I've had a really hard time defining the music, like naming the musical genres that I listen to.
Yeah.
And one of the cool things that Spotify did a while back was like, when it like kind of does a yearly recap or whatever, on one of them it was like, here are the top 5 genres that you listen to, and of course I can't remember what they are.
Yeah.
But I took a screenshot.
Right.
And I saved it because I was like, people ask me, what kind of music do you like to listen to? And I'm like,
right.
I can't really. I'm like, electronic. I can't really get it, like, to describe it.
Yeah, right. And it's always funny too because it's like, I think you and I have pretty eclectic taste too in some areas or whatever. So it's like there are some genres that that sound really obscure, and it's like you can't help but sound like a snob when you tell people like, oh, I listen to like electro funk pop.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like,
okay.
And it's like technically that is sort of what you're into, but you just sound so like, oh, okay.
Yes.
Whoa, calm down, dude.
Yeah, right?
You know what I mean?
So
it's funny.
You just reminded me of, and I'm totally feeling the pretentiousness of calling it, like when I remember one of the genres and it was acid jazz.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I listen to acid jazz. Like, all right, dude.
Yeah, exactly. If I said that, if I was just led with that, you'd be like, okay, weirdo.
This guy thinks he's so cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, that's how it is, dude. It's like, at some point, it's funny that hasn't become normalized yet with just how many genres there are. But I think
it's kind of, I think there's
people
sort
just
of
lump it in, right? Like you said, the people just lump it. It's like, oh, I listen to.
It's kind of arbitrary,
right?
There's an algorithm that I think Spotify uses to define genre.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, but I think it's algorithm based.
Yeah,
but otherwise, it's just a human listening to it and saying, "Oh, this sounds like blah blah blah."
Yeah, right.
Like there's unless there's a band or an artist specifically saying, "Oh, I make music in this genre or subgenre or whatever."
Right.
Like musical genres are very objectively applied.
They're kind of fluid, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're always changing and evolving and growing and diversifying.
Right. Sometimes in order to not sound like a dork, like if I can't super define it or whatever, I don't want to say some crazy genre. I'll just be like, because I feel like the vast majority of genres have like a root genre. Mm-hmm. So like I'll be like, oh, it's like kind of like alternative rock sort of, or alternative.
Oh, that sounds
electro.
very Christian. Like for some reason, if you say alternative rock, I just in my mentally add like alternative Christian rock.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I feel like that's what someone who is like ashamed to admit that they listen to Christian rock would say. Oh, I listen to like alt rock.
Yes.
Progressive rock.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm more of a progressive rock guy.
I don't know why.
Gospel rock.
I used to hear quite a bit of that, and it was.
Yeah.
I feel like South Park said it best. It was something to the effect of, "You're not praising God better. You're just making rock worse."
Oh, that's so funny.
I apologize if that offends anybody, but it's just that's my opinion. I thought it was South Park's opinion, and I thought I feel like they encapsulated the way that I feel pretty well.
Right. I'm sure like diehard rock fans are like, why did religious people have to choose our genre? Like, why couldn't it be like Christian jazz or something? Mm-hmm. Pick something that people already don't like. Christian country.
Yeah.
But I don't know I don't know. How do you? Oh, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna bring it back to audiobooks.
Yeah.
And I was going to remind you that you have a book.
Yes.
That I told you, just read this whenever you're on the can.
Right.
Have you even cracked that?
No, but I vow to you here on this podcast, episode 54, that I will crack that book. If not on the can, then I will 100% bring it with me to on my next flight.
Okay.
100%.
All right. It's vintage Star Wars short stories from the original trilogy.
I like that. I like short stories. That's a good starter for me because they're bite size.
Yeah, and this is officially non-canonical at this point because it's so old and they've revamped Star Wars so much.
What's the name of the book for listeners?
I believe it's Tales from the Cantina.
Okay.
Or Tales from the Bounty Hunters.
I remember Bounty Hunters is in there somewhere. Okay. Cool. Yeah, and do I have to read? Can I read them in any order? Or is
read
it just
them
best
in any order.
Right. Nice.
I mean,
nice.
I did okay reading it, the normal order. But I don't think it'll make a difference.
Cool.
But it's also got that nice brown color because it's old, so it's got that nice old book smell.
Yeah, it does. It does smell nice.
So
yeah, that's one thing. I wonder if audiobooks are gonna eventually emit like a little perfume, like an old book perfume.
That would actually be a very interesting feature if you got a Kindle and it just had like a little smell insert.
Yeah,
that was just like it emitted old book. Like whenever you powered it on, it would just emit a continuous low level of that pleasant old library used book smell.
It's like a really small fan that just slowly blows it out.
Oh, it just has to warm it up and the volatiles will diffuse out.
Yeah, there you go. It'll just be like essential oils, book oils.
Oh, dude,
essential book oils, dude.
Amazon, if you steal this idea,
that's a great idea.
I will be very pissed off, but I will also not be surprised
if you can find a way to distill old books into oil and then just sell it as essential oils, diffusers.
As I understand it, the reason old books smell the way they do,
it's gonna be something gross.
No, it's just
I thought it was like sweat.
No, the paper is made of cellulose and lignin.
Okay.
And lignin, as it naturally degrades over time from exposure to oxygen and light, breaks down into some compounds that have that distinctive smell. So it's apparently the degradation of lignin.
What is lignin anyway?
Lignin is one of the components in plant cell walls, and it's I think that's cellulose. Lignin is one of the things that kind of holds them together, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but plant cells are very distinctively different than like mammal or whatever cells, because they have a very structurally defined cell wall and then intracellular structures that are very consistent, which is you see lignin and cellulose, especially in trees. That's what most paper is made out of.
Right.
So cellulose is the most common thing.
Gotcha.
That's what you associate with like paper towel, toilet paper, Kleenex, etc.
Yeah.
But lignin, you're going to see probably more lignin in paper because it's kind of the stronger of the two, if I'm recalling correctly, which I'm kind of not sure if I am. But there's a lot of lignin in paper, and then when it gets brown and it has that nice used book or library smell, that's the lignin breaking down.
Nice.
And it has apparently I've never really read it that way with my nose, but apparently it has a slight vanilla smell to it.
Really?
Don't know.
Never caught that, but
you have a nice used old book.
I do.
Sniff it, read it.
I do.
And
do a sniff test on it.
And it's really interesting because the whole book that's made up stories, people created stories based off of these characters that were featured in Star Wars, like the original first Star Wars. Was it the original or was it the Empire Strikes Back? I forget. Anyway,
one of the originals. The
bounty hunters that you see hunting Han Solo.
Yeah.
They were on screen for, 15, 30 seconds max for the most part, except for Boba Fett. He got more screen time.
Sure.
But that whole array of bounty hunters inspired people's imagination, and along with the movie, to go, I want to create a backstory for this character. I want it to be rich and make sense in the world that Star Wars built.
Right.
And they did. I thought they did a really good job. Now, I first read this book when I was a teenager, so maybe it hasn't aged well in terms of quality. I don't know.
Sure. That's pretty cool, though, because, I mean, like, Star Wars people, like, Star Wars fans are they're in the thick of it. Like they're deep in. You know what I mean? And like they know the lore like crazy. And so I'm sure like the backstories are all like sort of interconnected with each other somehow, or there's like overlap.
They are to a degree, I think.
Yeah, right. We're like and I'm sure there's like little Easter eggs. You're like, oh, that's what, like that connects to this other thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. This other storyline.
I don't know how they got the names for those bounty hunters, because apparently the names that they got for most of them were like in this book were canonical. Mm-hmm. I'm not 100% sure, and maybe they were in this like in the script or the screenplay or something, and just never they were. But like except for Boba Fett,
or something.
I don't. Yeah. I don't know. I always forget about credits.
Yeah, maybe.
But they either got the name or created the name, and it just kind of worked.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that actually went on to influence further lore or what, but it's very interesting.
So are all these short stories in this book by different authors, or all the same author?
I think they're all by different authors.
Oh wow.
I could be wrong, or like a handful.
Yeah. Nice.
I could be
probably like slightly like different writing styles too between them. That's cool.
Yeah, it's like it's really interesting to get into a whole short story about why this person looks the way they like.
Yeah,
the costume
scar on their face.
The costume department was just like, oh, this one make him look like some kind of alien robot or whatever. This one wrap his head in like bandage looking thing.
Yeah,
and they actually just create whole backstories for why they look the way they are or whatever.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. Why they have a funny accent.
Yeah, why they look like a lizard. Whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, audiobooks, I don't know. I've had a really hard time getting into audiobooks. There's something about them that it just I think I just prefer to hear my own internal voice reading.
Right, yeah.
And that works fine for me.
Because I mean with an audiobook it's like obviously there's convenience to it. Right, you can sort of multitask. Somebody else is narrating it for you, but then they're also like kind of taking control of how it's being interpreted.
Right.
They're telling you how to think about it, how to feel about it, instead of you just using your own imagination.
I started listening to oh crap, what's the name of the book? It's the
50 Shades.
Gross. It's
the Stormy Daniels book.
It's like the original Cyberpunk. And I don't know why I should know this name. It's William Gibson who wrote it, and he's narrating it. And for some reason, it like I don't know. Neuromancer. Thank you.
Yeah.
For some reason, hearing that particular narration was just like very jarring to me. Which is weird because it's like this is the author, and this is the person who wrote it, saying it the way that they heard it when they wrote it.
Sure,
I guess. And for some reason for me that was very off-putting.
I mean, just because you're a great author doesn't make you a great voice actor.
That's fair. That's fair. I thought it was like a cool concept of going, yes, let's be true to the original vision. I guess, or style of the author, but it wasn't to my preference. Maybe it's just that it's just your opinion may vary, or maybe there are authors who objectively do not make good narrators,
right? And
that's a thing.
I mean, that's kind of like if George R.R. Martin was like one of the kings and he starred as one of the kings, he'd be like, dude, this guy sucks. Like, dude, he wrote the books.
Yeah.
Why isn't he a good actor?
Well, I think being a good author and being a good actor are a very uncommon coincidence. And
yeah.
I mean, coincidences and they are both happening at the same time in the same person.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sure there are exceptions. I can't think of
authors that are actors.
Or I guess in this case, it would probably be actors who are also screenwriters.
Right.
Or
they're definitely out there. There's so many
I think Jack Black
people.
maybe.
Yeah, I could see that because I think he wrote like
I feel
School
like
of Rock and
or
at least co-wrote it, and then Pick of Destiny. I know he wrote that.
What is it?
Pick of Destiny.
Oh, I thought you said
Pig.
Pig of Destiny.
Pick of Destiny.
What?
That sounds like a vocab word that you would throw my way.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a spelling bee word.
Yeah,
and they're just like, oh, that's not in the dictionary, and they're like, it definitely is, and you're like, oh, I'm losing.
Yeah, I'll check that book out next flight I do, and maybe I'll even crack it while I'm on the porcelain throne one of these days.
There's a lot of crack jokes that I can make that I'm just holding myself back. I'm restraining.
It's still morning.
Exactly. It's hard to make filthy jokes when the sun's up.
Why
is that?
I know. It's like because you feel vulnerable. Maybe you feel like
there could be children around.
You feel naked. Yeah, exactly. There could be children.
Versus 11 o'clock at night, there better be no damn children around.
That's right. That is true. I think there's an element of like danger when the sun goes down, but there's also an element of safety. It's for different things.
I think when the sun goes down, like the past 10 or 11 is like it's adults only. Like
right.
Hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's like you let your hair down. You let your freak flag fly a little bit.
Yes.
It's like your unwind time.
And there are things, and I think the English language kind of bears this out. They're like, there are turns of phrase about like bringing things into the light, right? Or in the light of day, whatever.
Right.
And I think that kind of connects conceptually with the tendency of sketchy or not safe for work things happening
right
at nighttime.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it also makes sense.
In Vegas, it's different. It's like it's a whole city built around the concept of it doesn't matter what time it is.
Yeah,
things are going to be freaky.
Right,
100%. and that's somewhat unique. It's not truly unique, but that's a Vegas like draw or I guess aspect.
Vegas is a weekend town. It's a weekend city.
It's weekend at 11 p.m. every hour of every day.
Right, which is why it's a fantastic place to vacation, but an awful place to live.
I can't imagine living there.
Like you ever go off the strip into like a bar where it's like the locals go? It's like where they're just stuck there. It's not pretty. It's like everyone's just looks mega depressed. It's just sad.
I would be if I had to live in Vegas and work at a casino.
Yeah, it's rough.
Unless I was one of the top dogs just raking in cash. Yeah. I think just like, waking up at 6 p.m. to go work an overnight shift as a craps dealer or something.
Oh man.
And just dealing with
drunken asshats all
day.
So
I saw this video of this. I don't think it was Vegas. I think it was somewhere in Asia, but there was like a dude just full on
on the craps table.
Craps is okay. Pardon my gambling ignorance. Craps is you throw
the dice.
You roll a couple dice, right?
Yeah.
Dude was just
I saw that
full
clip.
on, just like thrashing around on a craps table.
I saw that yesterday. He was literally filling up the whole table.
Yeah,
like it was a waterbed.
Yeah,
and like they weren't even like doing. They were just like looking at him like I don't know what to do with this guy.
I'm sure the casino response team was on the way.
They're waiting for the bigger guys.
Yeah,
but yeah, dude. I mean, that's what living in Vegas looks like, probably.
It's got to take a special kind of kind of grit to grind through that, because it can't. I mean, it's got to be rare to find people who would thrive under those circumstances.
Yeah, definitely. I think just like the human temptation is too great, where it's like, like the draw that you could just strike it big and get rich. You know what I mean? Like with a single pull of a handle or a single play, everyone thinks that they're gonna be the winner. You know what I mean? It's like,
oh yeah,
they gamble their life savings away.
I saw this video of I think it was Australia. It was a slot machine where you could literally like you could insert your credit card into the slot machine and just be like $10,000.
Oh my God.
Something wild, like you could directly link it to like a credit card or a debit card and just it would just siphon money right out of the bank.
Man.
And you just like keep spinning that wheel.
Oh God.
And it was a stupid amount too. It was like $10,000 or $20,000 worth. And then the person playing the game was just like every spin was like $500 or $1,000 or something.
Oh my God.
And they were just throwing money away. But it's such a powerful manipulator. Like gambling is such a powerful manipulator of your dopamine system.
Yeah, it is.
And that's what makes it so addictive.
Right. It's so true.
And
they're just little hits, just little bumps every time you get a few coins. You know, you get it like even like the noise that it makes.
Oh,
you know,
yeah, it's engineered.
Yeah, right. It's like a, what is it? Pavlovian response? Pavlovian response, kind of like.
Yeah.
It's like you start salivating when you hear that chime that you won. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, gotcha games, which are like typically mobile games that are free, but there's all kinds of like pay to get, pay to jump ahead.
Clash of Clans type.
Yeah, like they'll put arbitrary wait times on things. Like you can't do this for 3 hours, or buy $100 worth of our whatever coins, and then you pay 3 coins to progress quickly.
Yeah, dude, people drop just tens of thousands.
Those
whales in those games are just unbelievably,
and they're engineered the same way that Vegas games are.
Exactly.
With the right like noises and visual feedback to kind of get that dopamine loop engaged, where you're like, oh, it was so satisfying to level up my character. I'm willing to pay $5 to do it, in half as much time next time.
Yeah, and it's like you can't win. Like you're trying to beat a proven system that's just that's built by hundreds, if not thousands, of people, who are training it off of a model that they learned about that was even better than that. It's like for mobile games, it's like they don't hit you with the pay to play immediately. They get you hooked first.
Yes.
They let you play for free for a while until you get to know the mechanics of the game, and then once you're hooked, then they slap the paywall on it. It's the same thing with Vegas. Like a lot of the slot machines, the first few pulls, you'll actually win. A lot of the time, you'll actually win. They know that this is a new customer. Give them a little bit. Oh, because
you have like a. Do they have like a membership card where you put in like your membership card?
Yeah, they have that. Yep. Yeah. For like frequent players, even if you're not a frequent player, like a high roll or whatever, they'll just give you a card, so they can track you even more and understand your habits. But it's they're good, man. You can't win. You can't.
I am lucky that I don't find I haven't gotten into gambling. I've never found it that appealing.
Yeah. I
did have a time when I was in Vegas and I was walking through a casino, and I put $5 in a slot machine, and it paid out $200.
Nice.
And I was like, that actually made me want to continue gambling.
Oh man,
because it was like, what are the chances of turning $5 into $200?
Right. How many more times can I make this happen? If it was that easy,
the answer is none.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. If it once you know the ropes a little bit, that like that generally should scare you away.
Right.
That's
which it did. In that case, I just was like, I knew that was going to be a problem, and I was just like, okay, I'm just going to take the $200 and I'm going to keep it, and I'm going to say I went to Vegas and made $195.
Hell yeah.
That was my whole thing.
Within 2 seconds.
Yes. But I've never gone there with like, which is apparently what you should do anytime you're gambling. You should have a budget of like, this is the amount of money that I have budgeted for this.
Yeah.
This entertainment. Like you might go and say I budgeted $160 for Broadway tickets because I'm going to Broadway and I want to be entertained for a couple hours, whatever.
Yeah.
Or you could go to a casino and say I budgeted $200 for however many hours it takes me to lose $200.
Right.
And once that's done, I'm done being entertained. I have to go.
Yeah. Sometimes I struggle with that. Sometimes I'm good, and then other times I'm like, all right, one more trip to the ATM. Just one more trip. It's fine.
Yep.
But I've never lost like an insane amount or anything like that. I don't have that.
That's what everybody tells themselves.
In the moment, it felt like a lot, but looking back, I'm like, it wasn't too bad. But on that note, we're gonna wrap things up so I can get some sleep and so you can go to work. It's funny how opposite our schedules have become. Thank you guys for watching. We will see y'all next week.
Later.